as I thumb through the endless hodgepodge of newspaper clippings from the antebellum South, in a scrapbook compiled by 19th century Richmonder Polk Miller, I cannot help but feel a little bit misled. Expecting a personal history, what manifested itself was Polk's nostalgia for the days on his family's plantation in the pre-Civil War South. Though the nostalgia Polk's scrapbook fostered could obstruct the ability to create genuine knowledge in the present, his musical work argues otherwise, suggesting that nostalgia is an effective way of providing continuity and identity to a group being shuffled along in a rapidly changing social world. James Agnew Miller was born in 1844 in Prince Edward County as the youngest child of a large Virginia plantation owner. As a child, Polk, as he came to be known, developed a deep-seated fascination with the Southern culture around him. Disregarding many of the social conventions of the era, Polk spent much of his time as a youth with his father's slaves. Spending hours on end with his father's slaves not only led him to develop a keen affinity for their music, but also cultivate a complex, even contradictory perspective of Southern antebellum culture. After procuring a comfortable fortune off his sergeant's pet care products line, Polk took to the road in 1892 to pursue his childhood passion for music. Realizing his ability to perform in a Southern African-American dialect, Polk gained regional fame after an endorsement by Mark Twain in 1894, billing himself as the Old Virginia Plantation Negro. Backed by a quartet of African Americans, his act included Negro spirituals and folk tunes from the Civil War era that painted a rose-colored picture of antebellum Southern life, depicting married slaves within a paternalistic system. Despite the racial overtones of his acts, Polk was unique from similar performances of this time in that he loathed blackface minstrelsy. As television and radio historian Tim Brooks notes, Polk presented his material with respect, trying to tell the good points in the character of the Negro rather than the bad ones. However, the mixed persona Polk assumed was not bent on forwarding civil rights. To an old Southerner like Polk, banjo-driven plantation melodies stirred up nostalgia for those childhood days on the farm. Nostalgia not just for dusty roads and magnolia-lined veranda, but for the troubled desires of white Southern gentry. University of Virginia English professor Eric Lott addresses these fantasies in his book Love and Theft, stating that minstrel shows were less an incarnation of age-old racism and more an attempt to repress through ridicule the real interest in black cultural practices. However, unlike these lustful blackface acts, Polk confronted cross-racial desires with respect for slave culture, using nostalgia to articulate a real history. Playing songs that depicted both Confederate past like the Bonnie Blue Flag and African-American culture like What a Time, Polk portrayed Southern nostalgia as a complex interracial process. The racist yet respectful tone of his acts not only exemplified his own complicated attitudes towards Southern race relations, but also the discrepancies of a postbellum Southern identity. Using nostalgia to meld African-American and white memory into one Southern collective memory is an attempt to provide a stable Southern identity that addresses the problems race posed in the post-emancipation South. Though Polk's acts do not open room for civil activism, constructing a single Southern memory fashions an identity amenable to the post-Civil War environment.